He put a dog collar on and was made to lick the urinal. Someone say welcome.
That's good.
And with that, welcome to this week's episode of Talk Murder to Me.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
Thank you. This week, our hint is bite. So we made a drink called the Shark Bite, which is rum, blue curacao. I never knew how to pronounce that.
Well, I'm just guessing.
Sour mix, and then you take a little eyedropper of grenadine and make it look like some blood coming in the surface of the water. So yeah, we're off to a fun start this morning.
Yeah, and it's funny that you selected this drink because a couple of friends back home who I know I'm not allowed to name, one of them is deathly afraid of sharks, and so I was teasing her about the fact that we chose this drink. But, I think it's overkill now because now I'm just getting one-word answers from both of them, so...
Well, it's a great drink, but the episode has absolutely nothing to do with sharks. So.
All right. Well, it looks like blood in the water. So.
Yeah.
Our water.
I think I know what it's about.
Okay.
All right. We're already starting with our guesses.
Go ahead, Jen.
It's a vampire story.
That's a really good guess.
I think it's a cannibal story.
Okay, how did we get jumping into this already?
We're just excited. We don't do day episodes often.
Yeah.
And
I don't get weekends off
up
often.
and at 'em, ready to get after it today.
Yeah.
Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
Bow, bow.
Yes, I picked up the surprise shot today.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Sunday fun day.
Another Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my gosh, I need that in my life.
That is great.
It reminds me of Christmas.
Oh my god, I could drink that
alone. Can we get some of that at the table, please?
I could drink this.
Do you want to take a guess?
Oh my god, that's really good.
Cinnamon schnapps.
I don't know.
Come on,
It's like an apple pie or something.
So it is Captain Morgan's Jack O'Blast pumpkin spice rum.
Is that the nip?
There's one left, so we can share it if we want. So I just thought a little pumpkin spice might be nice. It's the end of August. That means fall is coming.
Fall's my favorite season, even though my birthday's in August.
Fall kind of makes me sad because I feel like fall just reminds me of going back to school, and I hate the sun. Now we're recording on Sunday. I hate the Sunday blues. I feel like the fall, I get the sun, it's just reminds me of the Sunday blues going back to school.
You're going back to school?
That's just what it reminds me of. But
I thought you liked school.
I was good at school, but I didn't necessarily like it.
I like the fall because, kind of for opposite reasons, I feel like it's chill. On the weekends, you go to, pumpkin patches and apple picking, and it's nice and cool. It's like the
all
perfect
of those things again.
Yes,
this year.
Except we didn't do that last year, so
we did carving. We at least did our carving.
That was fun.
We'll have to do that again.
This time
I made Pikachu.
It was pretty terrible.
So, we have a Patreon page, and instead of selling you socks or credit score apps, we're going to sell you our exclusive content for Patreon, which right now we have our first episode up. Is a 50-minute episode, and you want to tell them what that's about?
That was actually a super funny episode. That was a really good episode. The guy who basically wouldn't die until he did, but I mean...
his name is Michael Malloy. And he has a very interesting story, and you can tell that story at bars. It's a great bar story, and it's true.
I'm sure by the time this episode is released, we'll have some more content up there. We are committing to get a Patreon-only episode out once a week.
Every Wednesday, I've decided. So from now on, we're going to release the main episode on Tuesday, and then Patreon will get an episode on Wednesday.
Okay.
All right. We got a lot to do. We do have some even more reviews to shout out today. People are really responding well to this contest that we have, John, that I'll get 50 by the 1st.
Which is this week.
Which is this week. I've got 5 days to get 7 more reviews.
Yeah. If she gets 50,
you got $2 so far.
I will read Harry Potter book number 3 since I've already read the first one too.
Yep.
And I'll summarize it for you guys, and hopefully we won't lose our subscribers because it's Harry fucking Potter and who gives a shit.
Everyone.
First of all,
About wizards.
Before I read the reviews, they're actually going to have the movies again in theaters for an anniversary.
I saw that.
Oh my god, I
Movie
want to
marathon it.
2, they always have movie marathons of all the Harry Potters around Christmas time. And so I would really love it if you got through the whole series by then so we can all watch the movies at Christmas time.
Yeah, we need
It's
to
like the
have a
best.
holiday movie day.
I like
love
J.K.
it.
Rowling. She has an amazing story. She came from nothing.
She is in the book that I'm reading,
is
29 Difficult Women.
Very amazing writer. She is a hero, and she
is.
deserves every penny that she's worth.
Absolutely.
But I'm not a fiction reader. I read nonfiction. You know,
It's true. I know.
So-
Anyway, Jason Horton writes, dark but not too dark. I love the dark subject matter, but enjoy that it's delivered in a somewhat light and entertaining way. Calico writes, great podcast with a twist. Recently started listening to the show and enjoyed it so much I subscribed and went back to listen to older shows. Can't wait for each new episode. Give it a listen. _JDZ writes, great mix of true crime and comedy. I have loved a lot of true crime podcasts, though sometimes they can get a little too graphic and real for me. This one is the perfect balance, keeping it light with cocktail recipes and friendly banter, and keeping it real with their stories. The crew at Talk Murder to Me has found an excellent podcast formula.
Thank you.
Maynard Dixon writes, very interesting, great listen. This is funny and factual at the same time. The interplay between hosts is very entertaining. Excellent. Shelly Ann 1817.
That's my genie little.
Okay, I was going to ask somebody. I was like, this has got to be somebody that we know. Going to die laughing. That is punny. I like it. Mm-hmm. This podcast is so entertaining. This crew has such a fantastic rapport with each other and makes each story so fun. I typically have no interest in the topic of murder, but the storytelling and commentary have made it so interesting for me. I've listened while working and while driving, and it makes the time fly by. Can't wait to see what more is in store. And last but not least, LC Far IX writes, hilarious, love the podcast. John, Nicole, and Jen make true crime really interesting.
Thank you. I can't believe we got a shout out on one of those.
I know. Like, that's us, Jen.
Yeah.
We're funny.
I wonder if I can delete that one.
LC Ferrick.
Hey guys, if you'd like to see your own name, go to talkmurder.com. I'm putting all the reviews on there,
What's his
and the best ones get shouted out on the podcast. Jen, I want to tell you.
What?
All right, so the other day, Jen, I think it's on the Patreon episode, you'll hear Jen say, I don't know how much more I can take of these gruesome episodes. So I listened to her.
It was in the
Yeah.
Eye of the Beholder.
Because that last episode, the Evil Brothers.
Evil Brothers.
Evil
Yeah.
Brothers is a very
Yeah.
brutal episode. Okay.
Yet to be released.
So Jen was very disturbed by that. So she mentioned that, and I took that into consideration. And I found a story is not really gruesome.
I was gonna say it's incredible. It's like
No.
the most gruesome episode we've
It's
ever
not.
done.
I don't mind them every once in a while, but when it's like week after week,
Yeah.
it's like, ugh.
So I thought about that.
Sometimes too, it's hard because we're females, and if you hear about like rape and
Yeah.
sexual
Yeah.
assault, like that's for females that can be like a lot to hear.
So I thought about that. I took that in consideration, and then I was researching the story, and it's going to be a great story. But unfortunately, I got sidetracked and found another story that is fucking 10 times as worse, and we're doing that one tonight.
All right, so
the other
listeners,
story will be for Thursday's Patreon.
no, I think we need to give our listeners something that's not like.
Should I make another?
Yes, yes.
You should make some shots, Jen.
Please.
All right, when I picked this story,
Another batch.
Thank you. I'll have share.
All right, so listeners, just so you know, the following episode is going to be gruesome. We don't know why. I'm assuming it's something to do with necrophilia, but just if you have a queasy stomach, just beware. I'm not telling you to turn it off because we all know you guys like to listen to us. So
Future John cut all that and then make the audience surprised.
no, I got constructive feedback saying that they would like a warning.
Okay, Jen's gonna. So every time it's gruesome, I'm going to start telling Jen and screw some, and then she's going to do a warning. So can you do a real warning for us?
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Jen. Just wanted to give you a heads up that this content and contain... I need a script for this.
Jen, I'm not even going to put this in there. You might as well quit. I like the surprises. All right, let me start the story.
Okay.
All right.
Necrophilia.
No, not necrophilia.
Cannibalism.
Vampirism.
Jen, I've already...
Wait, did we pick our states yet?
No.
All right, tell me.
In our years.
Okay. Utah, 1987.
Did I pick Utah last time? I can't remember.
No, you picked, oh, did you?
Idaho. I picked the Idaho, I think. I picked like a random
I could pick a different one.
No. I'm just... I was
Louisiana. Louisiana, 1987.
Oh, I get what you're doing there. True Blood.
No.
All right. Well, you never seen... Oh, it's such a good show. We should watch True Blood
That is a
together.
great show.
Oh, let's watch it today.
Because it's vampires and
It was on
Louisiana.
Showtime. I think it's on... HBO.
HBO. I have
Or
HBO
Showtime.
Go.
Yeah, I think HBO.
It may be
it's
on
such a
Showtime.
good
It's
show.
either
Let's watch it
HBO.
after. Can we watch
We
something
should.
after? We should have some sort of movie marathon after if we ever get through the podcast.
It's really good.
And about Velveeta for after.
Anyway, I'm going to go
Doesn't
with
mean you have to be mad at me.
1994. I was going to say Nebraska, but you picked Nebraska recently.
Two episodes in a row. Two
I'm
episodes
going
in
to
a
go
row.
with Missouri.
No, that's the one you picked last time.
I did, didn't I? Oh, well. But it wasn't... That Missouri wasn't it. So I'm going to go with Missouri again.
All right. I want you to remember something
Okay.
for the rest of your life.
All right.
I want you to remember the number 417. And I'm going to ask you what the number is at the end of the podcast. Jen, what room number was that?
417.
Okay. December 2nd, 1979.
Oh.
Firefighters were called to the Travel Inn Motor Lodge. It's now called the Travel Inn Hotel in New York. On
Another New York motor?
on 42nd Street. We're going New York and New Jersey. We're going to go. So tell us about that location because I'm not really familiar.
Bruce Springsteen. Empire State Building.
What
World Trade
exit?
Center.
Oh, I do want to point
9/11.
out the guy was born in the same town as that Cake Boss guy. I'll come back to that later. Anyway,
Oh, I've never been
yeah.
to Carlo's Bakery. You know, there's lines out the door every time you try to go.
yeah. All right, so
It's just
room
good.
417. It's just 2 blocks away from Times Square. So can you tell us? I've never been there. Can you tell us about it?
I've been there a couple times. So Times Square is the heart of New York City. That's where they have the location where the ball drops on New Year's Eve, and you literally have to get there a week in advance essentially to get good space. But you can't give up your space because then you'll lose your space. Also, they have the Disney Store, and the news channels have studios there, and also the Freedom Kiss, one of their sailor kisses the nurse. But when you think New York City, you think Broadway. On Broadway, you also think of the concrete
of
jungle
Liberty.
where
Yep.
dreams are made of, and you think of Times Square. Times Square is the heart of New York. It's also extremely crowded and an awful place to be.
I was going to say, so John would absolutely hate it.
Okay, so December 2nd, 1979, 2 blocks away from Times Square, the Travel Inn Motor Lodge. Now it's called the Travel Inn Hotel on 42nd Street.
That's the name of a Broadway show.
Firefighters were dispatched to the hotel because there was a report of smoke, heavy black smoke coming from a room. Okay? So they go, and they go up to the room, and the firefighter, who I'm going to read a quote from, James Rogers, the firefighter James Rogers reached the door, and he opens room 417. Jim, what room number?
417.
Nicole.
417.
The firefighter, this is December 2nd, 1979, opens room 417, but he can barely open it because the door handle was so blazing
too
hot, right?
Means the fire's coming from inside.
So he probably kicked it down. And this was a room with twin beds. So, some rooms have king beds. Yeah, so there were 2 beds. He busts in the door, barely see anything. He's all delirious from all the smoke, right? And obviously there's a fire. It looked like it started from the bed. And he sees 2 bodies laying on each bed, respectively. One body on one bed, the other on the other.
Okay.
What? Did I not use the word respectively right?
No, I just thought 2 bodies on each bed, respectively, meaning 2 bodies on.
Okay. So he busts down the door and sees 2 bodies, one on each bed. They're twin-sized beds. Here's a quote from firefighter James Rogers. I carried her out the door and put her down on the hall floor, is what he told the New York Daily. I was preparing to give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, which is standard procedure, when suddenly I noticed there was no head. Oh, shit. In fact...
Well, that's not going to work.
In fact, the firefighter then admits to the reporters, now he's been on the force for 15 years. He's seen all kinds of shit. He said, oh, these aren't even humans. These are mannequins. But then he realized they were charred human remains with no heads.
No, they weren't mannequins. They were humans.
They were humans.
Well, that's fucked up.
Jen, you may want to not look at this.
Wow, her forearm is missing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the firefighters noticed both hands of both victims, there were 2, and their heads were completely off. No heads whatsoever. These, and I'm putting the actual pictures.
Wait, so there's 2.
There's 2 bodies. I'm putting the actual pictures on talkmurder.com. They're very graphic. Very graphic.
Yeah, warning. So it's 2 females.
And Jen has already seen them.
On its stomach and one on its back.
And yeah, and they are headless, and they do look like somewhat like mannequins. Okay, let me get that away from you. This is the hotel. Oh, don't look at that picture. This is the hotel where they were found. And this is the thing.
Were they prostitutes?
They were prostitutes. Jen, I'm surprised you got through that. I was trying to tell you not to look.
Hey, I gotta participate in this, and I'm already kind of buzzed.
So, guys, go to talkmurder.com. You've got to see these photos. They're very graphic, though. Very graphic. They're headless bodies. The firefighter, after the fact, had to go through months, probably years, of psychological counseling. If you see that now, you'll just put it as like any other horror movie you see. But imagine being the firefighter, walking in there, because imagine the smoke is so black, all you see is a body. You grab the body because you can't see anything else. You just know it's a body, a silhouette. Yeah. You pull it outside in the hall, and like, okay, don't worry. Like
you're ready to like save.
Yeah, it's like, don't worry, I'm here. I'm firefighter. Take your helmet off, give her CPR, and there's no head. And then you bring the other one out, and it's the same thing.
Where's the head?
Where's the head? I'd like to read you something. Jen, what'd you say?
That's what she said.
Jen, I want to read you something. This is from the book I'm reading called Sons of Cain. It's a really good book. I will link to it on the website. It's by Peter Vronsky.
That's how we got so gruesome here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Peter Vronsky, for your gruesomeness.
2 gruesome murders.
Yeah. As I approached the hotel that Sunday morning at daybreak, I thought I had a pretty good idea as to what I might be getting into. I had been to New York many times before on movie and documentary projects and shot all sorts of edgy things. Sometimes I stayed in one of the Fleabag hotels around Times Square. So I want to point out, Times Square in 1979 was a cesspool of hookers, prostitutes, well, it's the same thing, I guess, strippers, strip shows, sex shops. There was no real business in Times Square.
It was seedy.
Yes. But this time was the first time I've ever wandered off the map as far as the 10th Avenue into the adjoining neighborhood that, since the 1880s, has been called Hell's Kitchen. As I waited in the small lobby for the elevator, it seemed to be stopped forever on the upper floor. It was annoying. I was young and impatient. When the elevator finally came down and the doors slid open, I took an extra hard look at the jerk-off who had kept me waiting for what seemed like ages. Although probably it wasn't longer than a minute. He looked like anybody. Ordinary, just another white guy in his early 30s. The only odd thing about him was that despite the cold he had a sheen of feverish perspiration on his forehead. As he got off the elevator, he walked into me as if I was not there, walked through me, bonking me on the knee and shin with a soft-sided bag that felt as if it had bowling balls in it, rounded, hard, and heavy. He didn't say anything, apologize, or even give me a glance back. He looked so ordinary that if I had been asked to describe him for a police composite sketch, I could not have. But as he annoyed me, I did give him enough of a look to later recognize him if I saw him again, even if I couldn't describe him from scratch. My last glimpse of him was inside the elevator as the door closed me. His back was turned to me, and he was strolling calmly towards the door to the street with his bag dangling by his side. It was an entirely random encounter with a monster who had brutally bound, gagged, raped, tortured, and killed 2 street prostitutes in his room upstairs, sawed off their heads and hands, and stuffed their severed body parts in a bag. As I was approaching the lobby of the hotel, he laid their headless torsos in the pools of thickening blood on the mattress, soaked them in lighter fluid, and set it all on fire. He then left with his bag of body parts and calmly took the elevator down as I was impatiently waiting and fuming in the lobby below. Of course, I didn't know any of that at the time.
My God, so he got hit he got hit by the bag with the heads and hands in there.
Yeah. It's a great book. He's actually encountered multiple serial killers, and he makes a good argument.
How does he fucking encounter all these people?
Well, he makes a really good argument in the book that he's not special. In fact, most of us encounter serial killers.
Like people who
we just don't know. If he wasn't in the forensics field that he was in, he would have never knew that was the guy. I mean, that guy probably bumped into 30 people that day. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So,
whoa.
Do you think there are a lot of serial killers here in Charleston, South Carolina? Or are they more in bigger, more populated cities?
Maybe they move to Charleston when they need to get out of the situation that they are in, because 50 plus people move to Charleston per day.
Do you guys want me to put names to those decapitated bodies?
Of course.
Anne and Margaret.
They're humans.
Okay, one of them.
Hannah.
There were 2. There were 2.
Mary.
No, you would never guess it. Listen, there were 2. A Kuwaiti immigrant.
Penelope.
Oh.
Kuwaiti immigrant, 23 years old. Beautiful, beautiful dark hair. I'll show you a picture of her head when it was still on her body. Very beautiful. Kuwaiti, Middle Eastern, kind of darkish skin.
Yes, I'm positive.
Okay, she had high cheekbones, dark hair. Also, she had a 4-month-old infant son.
Yeah.
Do you hear me, Jen?
To a 4-month-old son.
Infant son. Okay, so the other one was Jane Doe. Jane Doe being, as of today, no one can still identify her body or her person.
I wasn't in love with it.
Sweet.
The girl, the Kuwaiti...
Coconut water.
Oh my God. Are you guys even...
The
Kuwaiti woman was named Dita Godarsi. She just arrived... All right, so if you arrive to Times Square, New York, during this time as a woman with little means, you just come for the excitement, trying to make a new life, you most likely get picked up by a pimp, right? You get picked up by a pimp, you start working the streets. That's how it works. She was trying to provide money for her 4-month-old son. She was a single mother. 23 years old. She goes in with another prostitute, which still has not been named. In fact, the wanted poster or the information poster police put out could only put out a mannequin dressed in her specific clothes. They were trying to get someone to recognize the clothes she was wearing.
They didn't know who she was?
They didn't know who she was. And they still don't know who she is. And I'll put the pictures online. This is Dita Godarsi, a Kuwaiti woman. 23 years old.
She's beautiful.
And this is Jane Doe. You see us dressed in a mannequin? Mm-hmm. They put her clothing, her boots. And this is the actual wanted poster right here.
That makes me sad that they couldn't identify her. She had nothing on her. Dita had... was her... I don't understand.
They identified her from, I think, a couple of scars on her back or something. Okay, so...
That's just so sad.
4 days go by. So the guy that they trusted, I mean, because think about it. If you go with a partner, a fellow prostitute, it's less, I would feel like it's less sketchy for you because there's someone else there. Maybe two of you can overpower them. Because prostitutes get raped and killed all the time. That's part of the job.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
it's not part of the job. It just happened.
I mean, they had to know that. That's
occupational hazard.
Yeah. So his name was Carl Wilson of Merlin, New Jersey, which is not his real name. That's his alias. The guy that they went into the hotel with.
Carl Rogers?
Carl Wilson of Merlin, New Jersey. A do not disturb little doorknob thing was on the room, and no one in the adjacent rooms could know anything else. They didn't hear anything. There were no screams, no blood-curdling screams.
So he killed them before he decapitated them.
We don't know that for sure.
Well, I imagine that like you probably would make more sense if they weren't screaming.
He did spend 4 days with them. Now, we're going to talk about this.
4 days?
Yeah, 4 days in the hotel room with them. No one saw anything. And he's out the door, and he could not be identified.
My bet is that he only spent like 2 hours with them before he killed them. There's no way that they would have stayed there with him for 4 days if they felt unsafe.
And now you're doing a mustache.
Mm-hmm.
No prostitute would stay for 4 days, Jen.
No.
They were gagged, raped, and
that.
tortured as soon as they walked in the door.
That's what I just said.
Let me tell you about Nancy Shiava Vogel, 29 years old. She was married for 9 years to Henry. She was a great woman. She was not a prostitute. They lived in Little Ferry, New Jersey. Now, she lived in the same city. It was Friday night. It was October 27th, 1967.
Friday night.
Who was I talking about, Jen?
NSYNC?
No, what was the girl's name I just said?
Dita.
No, not Dita. Nancy Shiava Vogel. 29 years old.
Russian?
Vogel.
No, Vogel. She was married 9 years to a guy named Henry. It was Friday night, October 27th, 1967. So we're going back in time a little bit. Right.
I wish I could time travel.
Jen. All right. She was planning, just as the routine for her was every Friday night, she goes to her local church, the St. Margaret Roman Catholic Church, and she plays bingo with her friends.
Yeah. Bingo!
I love bingo.
Let's dress up like old ladies and go to a bingo hall.
Do we have to dress up in order to go? Can they just I mean, that's like age discrimination. If they don't.
It'll just be more fun if we dress up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyway. All right, so
John,
she goes to play bingo.
Blanche.
She goes to play bingo. But she didn't come home when all the other old ladies came home. Well, she's not old. She's 29. But she didn't come home.
No, she's not old. Damn,
oh my
she's
gosh.
not old.
Well, Henry called the cops.
Henry VIII?
Because
His name is
Henry called the cops because his wife wasn't home yet. And it's getting late. Okay. She didn't show up for a few days. Now, this isn't like her. She's a mother. She has 2 children. Where is Nancy? She was last seen in her 1960 four-door Rambler. You guys know what a four-door Rambler is?
Is it like a Jeep? Oh.
not at all like a Jeep.
I'd like that. It looks like one of the cars I want for when I get married.
I want the car that Meghan Markle and Harry drove off
the
in.
Jaguar?
That was cool.
All right, anyway.
Like convertible? Hell yeah.
Okay, that night was October 27, 1967. Now a few days have gone by, and Henry knows something is gone awry. Okay, she was found inside of her own car. In fact, 2 12-year-old girls from the Catholic school found her. They looked down at their apartment window and saw what they thought was a mannequin.
Oh no.
Sitting in the car. They walked down there, looked in the window. She had her head
Attached to her body.
but her hands were tied, and she was slumped over in her own car. She was just dead in her own car.
That's sad.
Yeah. She was brutally raped, tortured, and I'm going to tell you. All right, let me go ahead and tell you the serial killer. His name is Richard Cottingham. You guys haven't heard of him. No one has. But he's also known as the New York Ripper. He's also known as the torso killer. He's a very depraved individual that's still sitting in prison now.
Good.
And he's
alive?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Wow.
And I'm going to show you some testimony or some actual interview from him.
So this was
1967 to 79.
Yeah. So
He's old now.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about his background.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
If he's a ripper and a torso killer, what does biting have to do with it?
Jen, if you would let me continue with the story, then...
My apologies.
November 25th, 1946 was when Richard Cottingham was born. He graduated high school in 1964, but and not that anyone cared at the time, but you could see signs of sure psychopathy in him if you were to really look. Now, he liked to spend most of his time alone, right, which is one of the signs of a future psychopath. And he would...
It's also a sign of an introvert.
Yeah. And he was not disliked, but he did move to another school and he was kind of bullied a little bit, but it wasn't really traumatic. But his peer group did refer to him as being a little off.
Well, I mean, when you move to a new school, you're gonna most likely, like... Well, yeah, especially if you're off, you're probably gonna get bullied. Like, new kids... Some new kids don't adjust well. Some do, but some don't. I'm not endorsing bullying by any means, but it happens.
Yeah. And
it's a problem, but it happens.
So, he was a pretty normal kid growing up. And he admits this as well, he knew from an early age that he was going to be a serial killer.
Oh. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, he knew from an early age that he was going to be...
When I grow up, I'm going to be an astronaut.
Because he developed...
I'm going to be a serial killer.
He developed certain paraphilias. One of those was he loved large, voluptuous breasts of a woman. But not just, oh my God, you got...
Though. That doesn't mean...
No, it is, because every guy loves breasts, but he loved them as things. He wanted them in like a little box.
The chicken cutlets?
Yeah, like chicken cutlets. He wanted breasts like chicken cutlets. He could just like bounce around like basketballs.
Well, you could go to the grocery store and buy some chicken cutlets.
Yeah, but he wanted a female breast. Big breast. He loved those things. But he didn't love them on the women body. He loved them in a box. He would imagine them being in a box.
Welcome to Jen and Nicole Debate Stuff.
What are we debating?
I don't know. What do you think is worse? Getting bit by a person or getting bit by a jellyfish?
A jellyfish? But it's not a bite, it's a sting.
Whatever. Same thing.
As someone who just got stung by a jellyfish, it fucking hurts. And it makes your skin bubble like. So there was no stranger that I wanted to pee on me, and because neither John nor I had to pee, so neither of us had our phones on us to look it up and see what we were supposed to do. And so we got home, and I was gonna go figure it out, and John went to Lowe's to go get ammonia, because that's what pee is made out of, but they didn't have like pure ammonia. So vinegar apparently is good for stings, and running it under hot water as you can stand.
All right, I'm back. I got my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
I got my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. Chili, baby back ribs, barbecue sauce.
Barbecue sauce. What was the last thing I talked about?
The Krusty Krab pizza song.
Jen, what was the last thing I talked about?
The serial killer. We were talking about serial killers bumping into people in real life.
What was the room number, Jen?
417.
He was strange. I mean, most of the stuff we talked about, other than the job at the time, was stuff that he did after work, supposedly. You know, he talked about S&M clubs he'd go to. He talked about prostitutes.
S&M, prostitutes, all right, common themes.
Okay, so that was Dominic Volpe, one of his not employees, but one of his
Coworkers.
So he started off after high school. He went into the insurance company with his dad. His dad worked at MetLife.
This is the second episode in a row where we feature MetLife.
Yeah,
Not
MetLife,
affiliated.
killing a lot of people. Metropolitan Life, let's fucking murder people. Fuck MetLife. Go to Geico because they got that fucking lizard. Richard Cottingham worked in the insurance agency for 2 years before moving to a computer company. He was a computer engineer back when computers were like the size of fucking skyscrapers. Okay, so he was in a computer company. He was a very intelligent guy, as you'll see. Very smart. But his coworkers noticed one really odd thing. He liked to talk about his after-hours escapades. A lot of prostitutes. A lot of BDSM. You know.
You don't talk about that at work.
He would hang out at weird clubs.
That'd be really weird.
There were times where he would tell his friends that he would be chained like a dog and made to lick the urinal. Made to lick the urinal.
But wait,
Gross.
what did he do for work?
He was a computer engineer. Very smart guy.
Wait, that's not one of the things on the list, is it?
No.
He put a dog collar on and was made to lick the urinal.
Ew.
That's how he liked it. He liked to roll. Okay.
That's
So, 2 years later, he moved from the insurance company to Blue Cross Blue Shield, where he was doing the computer work. And that's where he shared a desk with that Dominic Volpe, the guy I just played. Now, his shifts were 3 to 11 p.m., which gave him plenty of time after work and in the morning to do his thing. So, he was born actually in the Bronx.
The Bronx.
Yeah.
Don't be fooled.
I was just gonna sing it.
I'm still Jenny.
I'm Jenny from the block.
Have a little, now have a lot.
I still don't have a lot.
But you don't know where I came from.
Southside Bronx.
All right, let me tell you. All right, so let me tell you. This guy has estimated he was tried for 6 murders, but he claims it's up to 100. And I'm going to show you his actual testimony.
That's like the opposite of what usually happens.
It's a lot of prostitutes. Okay,
All
but
prostitutes?
here's his
a
MO.
lot.
And I'm not going to go through all the deaths, but here's what would happen. He was a sexual sadist that enjoyed BDSM. Not enjoyed. So basically he would meet the girl at a bar, a prostitute, slip some roofies into her drink, drag her back to the hotel, and immediately that's where the nightmare would start. Now, he wouldn't kill. There's actually, I think, it's either 4 or 5 victims that did not die at all because he wasn't he wasn't actually a murderer by. That's not what he cared about. He cared.
So the deaths were an accident, but were consequences of his sexual escapade.
Yes. So you
convenient.
get if you go into the hotel with this guy, immediately he's going to tape your mouth so no one can hear you, and he's going to start a torture routine, which includes cutting your skin in multiple places around the torso, but not fatally, just enough to bleed. He's going to do stuff like gag you, forcefully put his penis down your throat. He's going to shove things in you. He's going to whip you. He's going to torture you.
This is why I don't.
And then when you get to a point where you're unconscious, he's going to throw cold water on you. This is why you're handcuffed to the bed. He's going to throw cold water on you to bring you back so you know that he is in control. That's the thing with this guy and these types of serial sadist killers is they don't care about killing. They don't want you to die. They want you to know that they are in control the entire time and they're going to torture you and put you through absolute hell the entire torture session. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And like I said, it's the reason why I don't date. I'm afraid of that happening to me.
Most people don't do that as part of their dating repertoire.
Well, I haven't dated, so I don't know.
There you go. That's not the norm.
Well, what happens if the person that I go on a date with does that and I
They're
die?
not going to tell you that one on the first date.
Now he had
they don't tell you, and then you know, they don't tell you any of that, and then the time comes, and then it just happens, and you're not expecting that.
But, like, they would probably tell you before it happens.
forensic pathologist Dr. Louis Napolitano. He says, the thing that's important, there were no penetrating wounds. There were no knife wounds that penetrated into the body. They were all superficial. He's teasing them. I'm not doing anything to kill you right away. I'm not putting a knife to your chest and cutting or making you die right away. No. I want you to know that I'm here doing things to you. And then he says, he's doing things to make them afraid, to have them subjugate to him. I'm doing this to you, and I can make it worse. So you go in, these hookers are not even hookers, just people he abducted. He isn't a normal serial killer. He doesn't even care about killing. He cares about the process of torturing you for hours and hours and even days. Those prostitutes in the hotel before they got their heads severed off were probably alive for a couple days, going through this horrific ordeal. Okay. Now let me tell you about his calling card, because he's got a calling card. About 70% of serial sexual murders, which he was, will experiment at a crime scene and do something very, very different with one victim that they had not done with the others, such as cut out their eyes or cut their vaginas out, and so on.
That's awful.
Okay. So, all right.
We have the movie Sybil.
So, let me tell you about his calling card. Mary Ann Carr, age 26, an X-ray technician. She was...
How do you cut someone's vagina out?
All right, this was a few weeks before Christmas, 1977, when 26-year-old X-ray technician Mary Carr, she went missing from her apartments at Ledgeview Terrace. Now, she lived with her husband, but her husband was away on a business trip, okay, because her husband was actually a suspect at the time, but he had a solid alibi. He wasn't even in the same state. Okay, police came because she went missing. She was supposed to go to her stepmother's to meet her stepmother, and she didn't show up. Police came to the house. There did not appear to be anything broken in the apartment, and we had no indication at all as to what happened, said Lieutenant Alan Greco of Bergen County Sheriff's Department in New Jersey. Police, they did interview one person. They said they saw out their rearview mirror a guy that looked like her husband, which a few years later they would come to realize had a remarkable resemblance to Cottingham. Yeah. So no one knows how he abducted her, but it was probably in the parking lot. He took her to a hotel. The police, when they found her a few days later, she was found in the parking lot of the Quality Inn Motel. She was, do you know how, like, if you go in the back, there's, like, the curb, and then there's, like, chain link fence? She was, like, shoved over there. Almost like if you're going to throw your garbage out, but the dumpster's so overfilled that you have to just throw it by the chain link fence, you know? And
no, I usually just put it next to the dumpster.
Well, yeah, you know, but you hope no one will see it. Her body was thrown over like that.
That's awful.
Literature marks on her wrists and ankles from handcuffs. She was covered in bruises on her arms and shoulders, breasts, and thighs. The right side of her face was hemorrhaged because she was struck with a blunt object. Tape was still on her mouth, and he's got a calling card now, and all his future victims will bear his calling card. She had savage bite marks on her breast. That was his new calling card.
Bite.
Now he's telling police to fuck off because every victim they find from now on is going to have his signature bite mark.
I was going to say, wouldn't you be able to, like, tell his DNA? Like,
I mean, nowadays, yeah. But in the crime scenes, everyone that he's murdered, those crime scenes were spotless. Spotless. He would do all the fingerprints, get all the fingerprints off, they were spot. He was a very intelligent man, but he still put his bite mark in there as a signature.
Wouldn't
for,
they like take a model of his teeth and try to match it though?
Well, yeah, if they caught him.
That sounds aggressive. Like I've heard of like nibbling, but like that's like biting, like aggressively biting. That's not okay. You have to be gentle.
Okay, he had a
Unless
wife.
you're not into being gentle.
He
then.
had a
Whatever.
wife.
Yeah, he had a wife and kids.
Oh no.
He was married to Janet, and although they were scheduled to get a divorce, so during this time of him doing all this shit, he married Janet May 3rd, 1970. All right, but he would get in trouble with the law. He had drunk driving charges. Like, all these small charges are nothing compared to what he was doing, but didn't get caught for. He got arrested for shoplifting, arrested for robbery, assault, and sodomy. All these little charges during the time that he was killing supposedly hundreds of prostitutes. Right?
Good guy.
He was like begging to get caught.
Yeah.
It was like a cry for help almost.
No, it's not a cry for help. This guy is a genuine psychopath.
Okay.
This guy has no sympathy for his victims.
All right. Whatever.
Let me
He's doing all these different things. It's like I don't know.
Go on.
Like, I feel like if I were to do something to get attention like that, I would actually, like, maybe sometimes people do that because they don't know how to ask for help, so they figure that's the way that people will see them, that they have a problem, and they'll get help that way. I don't know. That's just the way I think.
The only picture of the killer is this photo, taken at the time of the murders. Richard Cottingham is now 63.
He looks like Santa Claus.
He does. He like Bruce.
Oh, it's weird.
I don't like
Hi.
it. Make it stop.
How are you?
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Babe, you're behind.
I've been waiting for this moment for a while now. Are you happy to be here?
All right, let me tell you. This is the girl that's interviewing. Her name is Nadia Fazani. She has had multiple interviews with people, serial killers, including Paul Michael Kearney.
Wow.
She has letters, communication from this guy alone. She has 20 personal letters. He sent her a birthday card, signed it Richie.
Birthday.
Nadia, would you like to be a special guest on our podcast?
She was she's an amazing person. She went through a traumatic event when she was really young, and in her mind somehow she got addicted to figuring out why serial killers do the things they do, and this guy has caused her so much emotional, like,
trauma?
not trauma, but like just trying to understand how a guy could do this. So she's the only one to ever interview this guy.
Wow.
This is the only interview that
John,
exists.
you need to get on this. Can we please get her as a special guest?
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're not.
I'm doing this for you. That
Never happened.
never happened.
Nadia Fazani does not have much time and gets straight to the point.
Prostitute I was caught with.
Can you tell me why you cut off the breasts of one victim?
To do something different. I mean, she was already dead. I mean, it wasn't something that she was alive. And I wanted to create a sensationalism.
But I mean, you still have to have the balls to do this. I mean,
It's not hard. It's just a body. I mean, it's not a living person no more.
oh my gosh.
how did you feel when you committed the crimes?
No feeling.
No feeling whatsoever?
No,
Nothing.
nothing.
Wow.
I forgot, like it didn't happen. I could put myself into a zone to do something like that. And it would be like remote control.
She has many questions she'd still like to ask. And her interview has been carefully prepared for
All right. Yeah, so I'll play some more of that later. All right. That's the guy. Did you hear that one time he said, she asked, how did you cut off the breast? One of his last victims, okay, They found her in a hotel room with her breasts completely sawed off and displayed on the headboard, almost like Jack the Ripper would display the organs of his victims.
Wow.
So
He was the Ripper of New York.
he was a Times Square Ripper, yeah.
Times Square Ripper.
It's fascinating, but also really disturbing and sad to hear these people talk sometimes.
Yeah.
Like he had no feeling about dismembering the bodies.
On May 5th, 1980, Marianne Sancanelli, she was a housekeeper at the Quality Inn Motel in New Jersey. She was cleaning the room 132. She was vacuuming. When she noticed kind of a smell, she was trying to push the vacuum under the bed. You know, it never goes all the way under there. It's like gets stuck. You know what I'm saying? And then she kept hitting something, right? So the object that was under the bed, she pulled out, and it was the woman of 19-year-old Valerie Ann Street, which was a pretty girl, slender waist and large perky breast. You know, she was handcuffed, her hands were twisted behind her. She was 5'4", 135 pounds, and she had been severely tortured.
Like exactly me.
Street has been, so this girl was,
Exact build.
she was severely tortured, handcuffs behind her back. Those handcuffs were so tight that they left deep marks around her wrist. She had literally red, gory bracelets on her arms from those handcuffs. She had stabbing cuts, bite marks, his signature bite marks on the breast. Her agony lasted for hours. Her body was ravaged like a barbaric ravaged it.
Barbarian?
Barbarian. She wanted to scream, but she couldn't because, as always, the victim had pieces of tape around her mouth that could not allow her to get sound out of her mouth. She was silent and she was being tortured. Her neck had 2 ligature marks that told the detective she was strangled to death after all this torture. On her lower back, there was an abrasion which made by a sharp object that thought at the time was a knife. So those torture marks eroticize the power and control that the offender has over the victim. To make the victim realize that he, the offender, is in control of life, and that's the most important part. He is the one that's in control. He controls if you live or die. So oftentimes the offender will prolong their agony, lasting for days in that one case, to kill her in a very slow, deliberate way that she is fully aware. She realizes, maybe it's a spark of insight, but she finally realizes, I'm going to die, and this guy is going to do it, and he doesn't kill her until she hits that realization in her mind. That is where he gets his power. That's why there were so many victims to testify against him in court, because a lot of them survived because he didn't care about killing them. He's not a serial murderer. He wants to torture them, and if they die, well, that's just what happens. That's a side effect of what I'm doing, Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. He doesn't want them to die. He wants them alive the entire time so he can torture them. He can cut off their breast. He can slice them, gag them, choke them, sodomize them. And if they die, then they die. 25-year-old Jean Rayner, which is a prostitute at the Times Square area.
Jean.
It was only 10 days after he killed Valerie Ann Street. This was May 15th, 1980. Okay, the firefighters called to a hotel. Surprise, surprise, right? They found a mutilated woman. Multiple deep bite marks in her body. She had also been set on fire. Now, so you'll hear Cottingham talk about why he set him on fire. It was more to erase all the evidence pointing to him. Now, he left Cottingham. He left the head and the hands of this victim. But she did have that signature bite mark. So in almost all serial murderer cases, they will go above and beyond killing the person and engage in post-mortem activity that to them is sexually gratifying. This type of ritualistic behavior grows out of the suspect's fantasy life. So the signature bite mark was in her breast. Although the killer left the head and her hands on the body, Cottingham removed both breasts and placed them nicely on the headboard. Now he was...
Oh, no.
This is this kind of killer, Jen. When they would find the woman's body, they would always find her clothes folded very neatly. Isn't that weird?
That's strange.
They'd find her clothes folded very, like, OCD neatly.
Like army neatly?
Army neatly, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So it's like
Even the two prostitutes with no heads, they found their clothes in the bathtub, folded very neatly. No creases and everything, like completely in line.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say to that. It's really, it just makes me sad.
There's plenty of victims. Do you want me to tell you how he got caught?
Yes.
All right. Her name was Leslie Ann Odell. She was a blonde. Now, I want to point out that all the women that he mutilated, I mean, you saw the Kuwaiti woman.
Right.
They're all very beautiful.
So he didn't have like a type except for them being attractive? Like
very attractive, young.
Dark hair usually? Or
any. This girl was blonde. Right.
Mm-hmm.
She was a prostitute. She just arrived to the Big Apple. And like I said, during that time, there was there was big business, but there was a cesspool of prostitutes, sex shops, whatever. The girl found herself, she just got off the bus. She immediately got picked up by a pimp. And Cottingham found her and almost was like a savior to her. He was like, let's get you out of here, away from these pimps. I'm going to drive you to New Jersey, and I'm going to give you enough money to start a new life. So you don't have to be around these Big Apple prostitutes and these pimps, right? So he was a savior. He was like a father figure savior. Now, he picked her up as a prostitute, keep in mind. But in her mind, she already got in a car with him and she drove with him. And this guy's going to save her life. So they're in the car and she agreed to have sex with him for $100. Because that's what she was there for to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
$100.
They go... Yeah.
That ain't a lot.
They go in New Jersey.
When you think about, like, rate per hour.
That ain't a lot.
Listen, the sun was coming up. They go to the Quality Inn Motor Hotel. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Because it's the same exact place that he left his last victim, Valerie Ann Smith, stuffed between the mattress. He brings this girl to the exact same hotel a few weeks ago that she got stuffed under the mattress.
Oh, it wasn't between. It was under the bed.
Yeah.
Not between the.
No, under the bed. Yeah.
Okay. I got confused because you said between.
Under the bed. Yeah. So, all right. Let me say that again. So he takes this girl to the Quality Inn Motel, the Quality Inn Hotel, the same place that the last victim, Valerie Ann Smith, was stuffed underneath the bed.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks earlier, keep in mind. So, I mean, talk about brazen. This guy has been, I mean, he's a narcissist to do that. So he secured a room in her name. They go up to the room to do their thing. Immediately, the torture routine starts. But this time, he gets sloppy. She screams so loud that guests hear her screaming. And the hotel attendant comes to the door and says, "Hey, is everything okay?" She knocks on the door, and he's got a knife behind her back. Say, "You better tell her this." And she says, "Yes, everything's fine." But with her eyes go left and right. She's like, "Yes, everything's fine." But her eyes...
That's eyes, like I mentioned a couple episodes ago, like You can tell a lot from a person's eyes.
Yeah, so she was doing her eyes left and right to signal
Danger.
to the lady that she was in danger. So immediately the police were called.
Stranger danger!
She ends up living. She only went through a little bit of the torture routine. The cops arrived. He escapes out the back and was arrested by 2 cops with his torture bag in hand with all the evidence. And he started denying things from the get-go. He said, I paid her for BDSM, yada, yada, yada. And he's actually got a case because they can't actually prove any of the other murders. Remember, they don't have fingerprints. They don't have anything. All they have is him in jail, and he ain't saying nothing. The only thing that he told police detectives when they were interrogating him is, I have a problem with women. And then he shut up because he lawyered up.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was a lot to say, though.
Yeah. So he's still in jail. They can't prove anything for him. He may go free. The detectives couldn't get him to talk.
Yeah.
But they didn't need to.
Why?
Because they went to his house.
Oh.
And they found, remember, he had a wife and kids.
Oh, yeah.
But those wife and kids weren't.
I forgot about that. That was a minor detail.
Well, all right. So the wife filed for divorce because he refused to have sex with her for 4 years.
Wow.
What?
Because
Isn't that, I don't know, but isn't that usually the opposite complaint? Like,
That the woman...
no, but think about it. I want to explain it.
yeah, women usually withhold sex because they have the upper hand.
But think about it. Right? Think about it in this guy's case.
I mean, I guess.
Think about it in this guy's case. He is into serious sexual sadism.
Yeah.
And BDSM and all this crazy shit that normal people don't have sex with. You're just going to have sex with your wife?
I guess that's...
And that's going to be okay? No, you want to, like, shove things in her and down her? I'm just saying.
Wouldn't she know that, though?
She didn't know.
Think twice before you respond to that.
I'm just saying, like, he's into some hardcore shit. He's not going to have sex with his wife. Just, missionary. Here we go.
Yeah, but, like...
No. That's why he refused to have sex with her.
You literally, like, were going through the motions and that was so funny.
This girl, Nadia Fasani, she's actually a badass girl. We're going to have her on podcast. She actually stays in room 417. And then she interviews Richard Cottingham.
Well, all serial killers are manipulative and self-centered. So he'll feel flattered by the attention and that you're interested in him, especially since you're a woman. You should play on that. The photos of the lacerated bodies haunt the young woman, and there's one question she's dying to ask. Did Cottingham take pleasure in torturing his victims?
Testing.
Armed with her research, she again feels prepared to confront the butcher of Times Square.
Oh, that's a new name.
You like to torture your victims.
I enjoyed it. It was a game. It's scary to a girl
Fuck you!
to have something done like that, to be so close to a knife, so to
You can't
speak,
do that shit.
pressed against you. The situations that I was seeking were more of a power trip. The power of holding someone's fate in your hands is a very powerful aphrodisiac. The adrenaline rush is like nothing.
Did you say
I mean,
feet or
you're
feet?
in complete control of somebody's destiny.
Oh,
How did you actually get to cut off their heads and hands?
Very easy, with a hacksaw. That was done only to prevent identification.
if I
It
could
was an
reach
ego
into this
trip.
TV screen, I'd call
It's a story to make the blood run cold.
I don't know.
Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck you. And fuck you too.
Pretty good story, though.
Think I give a damn about a Grammy?
Well,
Have your critics can't even stomach me, let alone stand me.
is that an Eminem?
But Slim, what if you win? Wouldn't that be weird? Why? So you could just lie to get me here, so you can sit me there next to Britney
They see me
Spears,
with
shit,
a
Christina
carry-all
Aguilera,
bag
Britney
at
Spears,
3:30 in the
so I can
morning.
sit next to
They asked what I was doing. I told them I was staying in a hotel and I'm going to get something to eat.
Put me on blast
Without
on
that.
MTV.
Like, you're missing the entire fucking thing. Because you're rapping.
I took them out of the hotel.
Jesus
Two cops
Christ.
pulled me over. I had nerves of steel. When I disposed of the heads, I took them out of the hotel. Two cops pulled me over. They see me with a carry-all bag at 3:30 in the morning. They asked what I was doing. I told them I was staying in the hotel and I'm going to get something to eat. Without batting an eye, they would believe me. They never asked what was in the bag or any ID or anything like that. And I could make people believe what they wanted to believe.
How did you feel?
I feel great. It's hard to describe. It's godlike almost.
It's a psychopath for you, Jen.
Yeah. I have a question. 417 was the room that he requested to stay in all the time, or was the one that he lit on fire?
No, that is the one where he...
That's the first one?
Ignited the media, because that is the one where he did his most sadistic thing of cutting off the heads and hands of 2 prostitutes.
That's the first one.
Something Jack the Ripper was
What
known
did he even
for.
do?
So how many victims do you think you have?
Oh, I know exactly how many. Over 85.
Wow.
Under 100.
Oh my god.
I was doing this for years. Hardly a week or 2 went by without something happening.
So you're saying you were killing a victim every week?
Every couple of weeks on average.
For how many years?
I can't tell you that. But well over 10.
Would you have continued to kill if you hadn't been arrested by the police?
Definitely. Definitely.
Why don't you want to, help the families of the victims to cope with everything that happened, to let them live in peace?
The families don't know. I don't know them. They don't know me. It's not like I knew a particular person or whatever. I mean, I'd have no problem with helping a family if there was a specific family.
Richard, would you be able to kill me?
Would I be able to kill you? No.
Why not?
Because I like you. You're tough. You don't take no crap. I respect you. You would be the type I would have as a girlfriend. At least on my end. I don't know about you.
All right. That is Richard Cottingham for you. The torso ripper, or the torso killer, the
Butcher of New York.
Butcher of New York. And, all right, so he was caught, but his room, his secret room that his wife and kids were forbidden to go into. Now, a lot of serial killers had these rooms. Okay. John Gacy had a crawl space. John Wayne Gacy. Ted Bundy had a room. Right? They would not let their wives go down. You better not go down this room. In fact, that guest room in there is now my new room. I'm putting a lock on the door, and we're going to make sure none of you guys go in there. Because that is my room, and if I have victims in there, whatever. All right, so anyway. They go to his house, and the evidence is plentiful. They find the key of Marianne Carr. The house key that fits. They find earrings. They find jewelry. They find everything. All his trophies of the people the women that he has raped, tortured, and kept alive during his sadistic sex acts where he would cut and bite and shove things down until he finally kills them. He has all their trophies. Now, he was between New York and New Jersey. He is facing 4 separate trials here. And he was very intelligent. The entire time through his court proceeding, he was taking notes. All the witnesses that have survived, because there was a lot, there was over 5, that survived his torturer acts, were testifying against him.
So you started the episode with some necrophiliac tendencies, but we haven't talked about necrophilia in this episode. Are we missing something?
No, all right, so that's a good point. As I said, Richard Cottingham didn't necessarily want to murder. I mean, he didn't care if he murdered or not.
But that was his goal.
His goal was to get, I don't know how to say this, to get off. right? To get his sexual jollies. So if the woman,
Santa Claus.
he would do that by torturing her for hours and hours and even days. That's how he got his final climax, if you will. Yeah. Now, if the victim dies, it's almost a tragedy to him, but he's not going to stop. He's going to try to get his sexual gratification out of the dead body. Do you understand? Like, at that point, it's just, that's how he talks about it. It's just a body now. It's not a human. It's literally just some flesh and some blood. It's not a real human. So if a body dies, the victim dies, unfortunately for him, and he doesn't get off, if you will, he's going to try to finish, to get his sexual satisfaction with the dead body. So necrophilia does play in, yeah. Mm-hmm. So during the court, now he had up to 4 trials for all the victims, because they're in 2 different, New Jersey and New York, right? Mm-hmm. He represented, well, the first one, he had a lawyer that advised him. He was like, listen, you got a bunch of evidence against you, right? Come on. Like, they found your treasure trove. But he still remained strong. And he got life in prison for the first trial. His defense lawyer said, don't testify because the prosecution is going to poke a billion holes in your story. And they did. Right. He went on the stand thinking that he could persuade the jury, persuade the judge, much like he persuaded all those innocent victims that he was a nice guy. A narcissist, psychopath like him, thought in his mind that he could turn this whole thing around. And in fact, his wife, even though she was getting a divorce, and his wife went to bat for him and pleaded on his... Oh, he's a great father. He didn't do all this stuff.
Well, because he never did anything with her. So, of course, that was actually probably a smart move by him by not including her in his sexual fantasies because she didn't know him as that. Was she probably shocked by the accusations? Yeah. But, like, she couldn't testify against him because she never experienced anything like that. So he could only have her as an ally. So that's actually pretty brilliant. Even though I think that maybe he should have been honest with his wife about what he was into, yes. But it was smart by him to not include her because he could use her as a witness.
This is one of the victims that he sexually tortured but survived. He told me to shut up, that I was a whore and I had to be punished. He said the other girls took it and I had to take it too. He said that uncountable times. So he went through the trial. Obviously, the jury found him guilty. It was like 3-hour deliberation. He went through a few trials. And in fact, one trial, he decided to have a non-jury trial and just try to convince the judge. And the judge convicted him. So he's in jail for the rest of his life. No chance of parole because he's serving at least 4 life sentences. He's not getting out ever.
Good.
So we don't have to worry about that. But it is very interesting to look inside a man that has no emotions or sympathy at all towards his victims. At all. Even, you heard. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
I think it's good that he is not getting out anytime soon because
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
Ever. Yeah, he will never be out.
I'm glad because his crimes are heinous. They were disgusting, and they really made me sad. And no monster should ever be able to walk free like that again. And it's really sad to think about, but there are people like that are still walking right now. Mm-hmm. So just stop doing that shit, people. Like, it's not okay.
Well, he was from childhood, he admitted to knowing that this would be his path in life.
Well, get help. It's really important to take care of yourself. And some people are afraid to do that, and some people don't want to do that. That's fine, I guess. Like, you got to do you, but I think that taking care of your mental state is so important. Thanks, guys, for listening to Talk Murder to Me. We had a great time drinking with you and sharing this murder on a Sunday morning.
As gruesome as it was.
It really wasn't. It was, but it wasn't. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm too buzzed to realize how bad it was.
I think we're too buzzed.
Yeah, we're too buzzed. Hey, listen, we have well, probably by the time you hear this, we'll have at least a few special episodes that are an hour or above. The one that we put on Patreon is 50 minutes. Is very, very funny. Is very good. It's not really as gruesome as this, but it's a great story. We're charging $1 a month. That's just to support us. Our server cost and our podcasting costs are well over $100 plus the booze. So this is just it's $1 a month.
Help support us.
Join our Patreon. Plus it's like a social media account. I'm on there. Jen's on there. Nicole's on there. We'll talk to you. We can talk to you guys straight up. You guys can ask us questions. We'll answer. Like we'll build a community here. So join us on Patreon. That is how we want to continue this podcast. We don't want to sell you bullshit that we don't believe in. We want to build a community and give you content that you cannot get anywhere else, because we do a lot of research on this. So we love you guys so much. Join our Patreon page, patreon.com/talkmurder.
Love you guys.
We'll see you at the next episode. Talk Murder to Me.
Thanks. Love you.
Bye.
Good night. Your tongue is blue. Is my tongue blue?
Yeah. Which is, Jen, what is that?
A mustache.
Is that a beard?
Here you talk about this.
Can you take a picture of that? No, I want people to see. As I approach the hotel, so this is from Sons of Cain by Peter Vronsky. Jen, please pay attention.
I'm listening. I have my listening face on.
As I approach that, Jen, do not do your raccoon eyes. It's too early.
They're binoculars, and
Jen,
they're my memory glasses.
Jen, please. They're not your memory glasses. Jen, what is that? A unicorn eye?
Monocle.
It's a monocle, yeah. Should I make another drink?
Or should I move to beer?
5% tint right here.
May as well stick with rum. It's always had on the song.
Chili's, my baby back ribs. Chili's, baby back ribs.
Barbecue sauce.
Yes!
Chili's, baby back ribs. Chili's, baby back ribs.
Barbecue sauce.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom was like, I can't believe those girls get so drunk. I'm like, yeah, they get so wasted.
She said that?
Yeah, and I'm like,
Did she really say that?
Yeah.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, Mom,
She's probably like, this is my future daughter-in-law.
I'm like, Mom, I drink a little bit, but that's all I do. And they get fucking trashed.
She probably thinks that I'm like an alcoholic random that moved in.
Yeah.
Oh my God, is that really what she
Yeah,
thinks?
she does. I'm not putting that bullshit in my bullshit.
Why are you mad at me?
Jen, it's a lifestyle, Jen.
Jen, what year?
1987.
Stop it!
What am I, bird flu?
Yes! Touch me, you die. Hey guys, it's Jen. I just wanted to say, careful with this shit. Fuck!
Jen, I'm not even going to put this in there. You might as well quit. I like the surprises. All right, I'll put it in, but I'll put it after the episode at the end. Like in the bloopers. After they didn't listen to it. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he did all that. Jen, what is wrong?
I'm tired.
Jen.
It's fucking noon, Jen.
I'm listening. I have this.
Jen, if we get through this, we can go get something good to eat. Whatever you want.
I'm listening.
What do you want to eat, Jen?
I don't know. Fried chicken.